Hey, it's Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, aka Man of the People. Earned that title because I love working for fans. Any questions that you have, please leave them in the comments below. And I can assure you, might not be the same day, but I will certainly come back and make sure I comment on your comments. So, also, we're getting close. We're getting close to those 5,000 subscribers. So, if you are not subscribed and you're watching the video, please consider subscribing. It'll help me continue to have player and coach interviews for you all as you request. And I love what I do. And so, it's a little bit later at night. So I like to give you all a treat when I'm a little bit later than normal when coming to do these broadcasts. So, how about a little of this? A little bonus coverage for you from the Carolina Panthers at practice today. See some offensive linemen, see some defensive linemen getting at it. Derek Brown, who had a pretty good game last week versus the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, you got to end with Baker Mayfield to Christian McCaffrey, a combination that we hope to see quite a bit this year. Got to hope that everybody stays successful. All right, so we got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. One is a little recap on practice and the session that Coach Rule had with the media. And then we're going to go over some trades. As I was preparing for this video, we had one trade, but then by the time I was done, we have two trades that we're going to talk about tonight. So Scott Fitterer, got to give him credit. He's not a man to just sit back and say, let me see how this works out. We'll give this guy time. We'll do this. Scott Fitterer, one day, less than 24 hours before they need to be cut down to the 53-man roster, is making some changes. All right, so we're going to get into that as well. Let's first go ahead and talk about Coach Matt Rule. And let's talk about some injuries that we have so far that we're dealing with. We have had some injuries with Terrace Marshall Jr. And coaches said, hey, this guy needs to stay healthy. Some people think that he may be on the bubble. Coach Rule said today that he feels like Terrace is coming along. He is where they want him to be in terms of getting recovered, and he feels like they have that hamstring issue under control. Likes how physical the Terrace is being out there on the field. So, gonna wait and see. Definitely some competition before the trade tonight, which they did trade for a wide receiver. Again, I'm going to get into shortly. Brian Burns was a guy who did not practice today. Brian had some soreness from the game on Friday. So the coach decided to, he's a veteran, really good guy, just a little Pro Bowler. So why not go ahead and give him, a little bit more time to recover and make sure that he's 100% on the field come that first game in Cleveland. But overall, he says with a lot of guys, Dante Jackson and just other guys, they continue to monitor and use analytics a lot to determine like what they should be doing with each player. So there's still quite a few guys that he wants to make sure they get a lot of reps, like a CJ Saunders, et cetera, that they're going to be spending these next 2 weeks, making sure those guys get their reps so that everybody's had the right amount of conditioning that they feel like they need to have, and some thud and some contact. Even though I will say this, they're only allowed one contact, one padded practice a week. So you won't see a lot of that, but again, they're continuing to monitor that and make sure they get the most out of these guys. Zane Gonzalez, my man Zane. You guys know I started a little campaign last year. I forget what it was, but Zane just had an incredibly low amount of followers on Twitter. And I said, man, this guy is too good to our team to have, I don't know, I think it was like less than 1,000 Twitter followers. So I always got a lot of love for Zane. Injured himself Friday night, practicing on the sidelines. Right now, it's still not known whether it's going to be something that he has to have surgery on or whether that's going to be a season-ending injury. So we're going to keep monitoring that. And last but not least, Robbie Anderson. Coach was asked about Robbie Anderson today. Now, Robbie's been a guy that he's been plagued by injuries all preseason, if you will, and OTAs and training camp. And he says that with Robbie, who today was spending some extra time getting some reps in with Baker, he wants coaches and says everybody needs to not just look at Robbie as a deep threat kind of guy. Robbie can catch passes over the middle. He can catch passes short. He's more of a complete player than just a deep threat. So right now for Robbie, what's key is Robbie's going to have to get some chemistry with Baker Mayfield, thus putting in some extra time. And he's also just going to have the trust of Ben McAdoo. Get those two things together, and we can see some productivity out of Robbie Anderson. So there's been 18 comments that have come through. So let me go ahead and check these out super quick. I like to get over some of the facts first before I get to the comments. All right. Just some welcomes and welcomes. All right. So cuts have not been made yet. I see one of those questions about roster cuts. Roster cuts can start now. They can start cutting people tonight. Some teams have already started making those cuts, but the roster cuts do not have to be in full until tomorrow at 4 p.m. So tomorrow, I can assure you, will be a busy day. Not quite sure yet how I'm going to report on it, if I want to go live every single time that they do a move, or do I want to just wait until that complete list is in. Take a moment if you want. Leave those comments below. But we're getting ready for the preseason matchup. We're getting ready for the regular season matchup. And at this point, Coach Rule's had a chance to make a lot of observations about this team, from where it started to where it is and where it wanted to be. So here's Coach Rule talking about his observations of this team so far.
I'm really pleased with the team, just the camaraderie, the sense of team that they have. I think that's something that, until you're kind of really in it, until you see it, maybe you don't appreciate, when I'm up on the second floor. But when you go down to the first floor and you see those guys and the way that they kind of support each other, I think it's really something special that we have. I think we've gotten a lot better in a lot of areas. I think we're throwing and catching the ball better. I think our pass rush and getting after the quarterback has been really good. I think the thing we have to focus on, our main focus right now, is our ability to run the ball and stop the run. And that showed up a little bit in the game the other night, and so there's some work that has to be done. But it's not a talent issue. I don't think it's a scheme issue. I think it's just a technical execution issue at some areas that we're going to try to be really, really intentional about and improve. Because obviously, we have Cleveland in 2 weeks. Nobody runs the ball better than those guys. So we have a lot of work to do.
So Coach Rule really giving this team praise, saying hey, I don't feel like there's any glaring problems. There's not any glaring coaching problems. There's not any glaring schemes or anything like that. Just our team is pretty talented, and they just need to get some technical things, some little things down in order to be where he really wants them to be. Further, what Coach went on further to talk about, this is the most fun he's had coaching in 3. He said maybe 4 years. He's able to have a lot of fun out there. It feels like they have some really good guys. And part of that is, hey, it was tough coaching during COVID. He said everybody had to deal with it, so he don't want to say anything about anybody else, but he's having a lot of fun coaching this team right now. Let me go over one more comment, or one more note that I have as far as some players that touched on earlier about some injured players and how they're doing. Got a few more. Giovanni Ritchie should be practicing next week. Colin may be a couple days to a week before he's practicing. Zylstra will be about 3 to 4 days, and Barno should be a couple of days before he's ready to get to practicing. But all those guys, Gio, Colin, Zylstra, and Barno, should be good to go for Cleveland, that opener right there. And one quick note, PJ Walker got a chance to talk to media today, and they haven't told him he's a number 2 guy yet. And that, to me, is saying that Fitter, who made a lot of changes today or made several trades today, is still looking for things to do to shore that quarterback position. I think that speaks volumes to I was figuring that PJ would be the odd man out. And if you hadn't been told that you're the number 2 guy at this point, then you're still probably or on the fence a little bit, because you would be. And I've wanted them to get a better guy than PJ Walker, because I feel like they know that he's not going to be in the rotation. So if he's not going to be in the rotation, don't count on this guy to continue to lead you through the season as a backup. And maybe right now they're just waiting a little bit to see what comes available as the waivers. As cuts need to be done tomorrow, and that will tell them something. But I feel like we'll know tomorrow for sure if PJ Walker is going to continue to be the number 2 guy, or if they're going to bring somebody in to be their backup, which I hope they do. I hope they do it quickly, because if you do it quickly tomorrow, you give this guy 2 weeks to start to get in and know the system and be able to serve as a pretty solid backup for your team, and not have to, I've heard Ben McAdoo's offense is complicated, so you want to get that guy in ASAP to back up Baker Mayfield. All right, let's go ahead and talk about these trades, which was the title of the video, right? Talking about the trades that the Carolina Panthers have made. So the first trade that we're going to talk about would be the Panthers trading for wide receiver, Laviska Shenault. I should have practiced trying to say this name before I got on here. Laviska Shenault. I might have messed up his name. You guys are probably already killing me in the comments for it. But he's a wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he's now a wide receiver for your Carolina Panthers. He was a 2020 second-round pick, played college ball at University of Colorado Boulder. He is 6'1", 227 pounds. And last year for the Jaguars, he caught 63 passes for 619 yards. So don't have a ton of information on him, but that's what I have and want to provide to y'all right now. I know I saw on Twitter a lot of people talking about this guy's like a Curtis Samuel kind of guy. I know for us, Curtis Samuels was a good threat coming out of the backfield, doing some things as well as out the slot, and was a heck of a third down possession receiver for us later in his career. So we'll just have to wait and see. But again, the Carolina Panthers have traded for Jacksonville Jaguar receiver, excuse me if I mess up this name again, Laviska Shenault Jr. And this is kind of strange to me. And I didn't try to scour sources and say, what does this mean? Because I feel like it's still going to come out pretty quickly. But it's not disclosed what the Carolina Panthers are giving to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it seems kind of strange to me. But, hey, there you have it. That's what it is. All right, let's get on to this second trade here. Let me go to my notes so I can make sure I speak of this correctly. All right, so the second thing that we did tonight was acquire some more draft capital. So we sent offensive lineman Dennis Daly to the Tennessee Titans. Daly was a 6th-round pick for us, the Carolina Panthers, in 2019. So along with sending over Dennis Daly, we are sending over a 7th-round pick in 2024. So Dennis Daly and a 7th-round pick in 2024. And in return, we are getting a 5th-rounder in 2024. Daly, in his career, he was okay for us as a rookie. Actually had a little bit of surprising performance, but he was pretty okay for us as a rookie. His second season, dealt with some injuries, didn't play too many games. So I think about 5 or 6 games that he was able to play that second year. And then last year, he was more healthy, but he was plagued with a lot of penalties. This guy was getting some holding penalties and eventually lost his job to, I think, Jordan as a starter. So he was a guy that, was kind of on that bubble, and they were able to get something in return for letting go of him. So congrats to Scott Fitterer on that move. But those are your moves for tonight, Monday, August 29th. And tomorrow, I'm sure it will be a busy day. I have made you all wait long enough in the comments section. So let's do what we do. Man of the people for this reason here of going through and answering questions. So let me get a drink of water and get to going. What's up, Joey? Appreciate you signing on. What's up, Locks? So Locks, again, those roster cut downs will take place tomorrow starting at 4. Well, not starting at, but they all have to be completed and turned in by tomorrow at 4 p.m. It just traded Dennis. So happy. All right, Andre Cunningham. We made somebody out there happy. I think he was a guy who had COVID last year. Not that matters for why he was traded whatsoever, but I was just trying to recall in my head about him because I think he was one of the guys that were unvaccinated. But nevertheless, again, that is totally not relevant to him being traded. They got us wanting to know they made cuts already. So Coach Rule talked about this and said they purposely didn't make any cuts before now. They wanted to get everybody in, give everybody every single chance that they could to make an impression on the team. Yes, they already had their list. Yes, they already have their thoughts about what they may be doing, but they didn't want to cut anybody now, and they're going to have a pretty late night at Bank of America Stadium finalizing that cut list down to the 53-man roster, right? Andre Cunningham likes the receiver pickup from the Jaguars, calls him a beast. All right, my man. Oh my goodness, the receiver room is so crowded. Whatever shall we do? Stares intensely at the Bears, sitting with Roquan Smith. So, yeah, definitely a crowded wide receiver room. Definitely a crowded wide receiver room. So, some of these guys are going to be trying to stash away on the practice squad, but it's it's a crowded wide receiver room, but it's also a wide receiver room that has dealt with a lot of injuries, and you really don't know who's going to step up and be your solid guys, right? It's a lot of guys with good potential. Saunders, Marshall, Smith has been coming up. Higgins. It's a lot, and I'm not mad at these guys for, hey, if there's talent available, competition on your team is always a great thing. There's nothing wrong with so much competition. Makes everybody stay on their P's and Q's. It brings out the best. So we have a lot of competition at that wide receiver group. And hey, if we turn out, we have 5 good wide receivers. We have Baker Mayfield being healthy. We have an improved offensive line. We have Ben McAdoo as offensive coordinator. You start to like that. You start to like that quite a bit. Let me continue to walk through some of these. Taylor Styles, don't hate the move, but doesn't really make much sense to me unless they plan on cutting a guy like Terrence Marshall or Higgins. So, yeah, there's going to be some movement for sure. I mean, when you trade for a guy, you really like to think, well, he's not going to be out here tomorrow, right? So you like to think that this trade means this guy's going to definitely stick here, and then that pushes some guys on the street or on the bubble. So we'll see. It makes sense though, because they're getting depth at that position, and he's a solid guy. He's not the greatest guy, but he's a solid guy. He's been in the league for a number of years, so we'll see. Brad, do you think they would trade Terrace Marshall Jr.? They could be. I would definitely try to trade him. I wouldn't just let him go and not let him make the roster if at all possible. I mean, was he a second rounder last year? I know he was drafted pretty high. Let me see if I can Google this and make sure. Yeah, he was drafted in the second round last year. So, all right, still in the new house. Boxes are moving. Man, I don't know. I would be shocked if a second rounder from last year was just waived. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't have any inside information, but just giving you my opinion. Terrace Marshall should certainly, in my opinion, as a second round draft pick, as a guy who just seems like he's bothered by injuries, and coach today said they feel like they got that under control with his injuries. And I mean, you drafted him knowing that he had some questions about his injury. So I don't feel like you would draft a guy and say we're going to be only patient enough to have one season with him, because outside of the injuries, his performance has been good. Let's see. Donald Duck. Did we trade? Yes, we did trade Dennis Daly to the Titans. Let me see. Just reading through the comments here, trying to make sure I go through everything. Oh, PJ's job just got saved in the worst way, says Taylor Styles. Taylor, I hear you about PJ Walker's job being saved. I hope that's not the case. And I always like to say, you know me, guys, I'm a nice guy. Nothing against PJ Walker, the person, just PJ Walker, the player, that I want us to have somebody else back there. I mean, it's been years that we've been seeing PJ Walker out there and just not do too well. Now, I will say this. I will absolutely, positively, 100% say this. When PJ Walker has a chance to play a full game and he knows he's a starter, he's able to play a respectable game. All right. When PJ Walker knows that he's going to start and he is the starter, he plays a respectable game. When PJ Walker does not know he's the starter, he's just sitting on the field, on the bench, being a backup player, and then you call PJ Walker in, PJ always makes this mistake of putting on his cape, letting me go in and save the world, and just not doing good at all. So PJ as a backup is not as good as, even though not as good as PJ as a starter. All right. So again, I hope that PJ Walker, that we find another person to be backup other than PJ Walker. It ain't going to be Cam. No, Cam Newton will not be backing up Baker Mayfield. Here we go. Somebody's excited about week 1. Can't wait until Baker Mayfield destroys Cleveland. I wonder what kind of sound bites that Baker's going to give to us about the Cleveland Browns. So if you got some pretty good questions for Baker Mayfield about his matchup with the Cleveland Browns, something good I can say, let me know. Let me know. Help me out. Yes, Antoine Lynch, thank you for the alerts and attention getting marks there. That is correct. I think Rudolph makes the best backup QB sense for what's out there. Okay, Ethan. Appreciate the comments. Locks, man. I hope you come on the show. So normally once the season gets started, when I'm doing my shows, I like to allow fans or you all to come on and ask your questions directly. So Locks, I hope that you participate in that when I get that started. All right. It's going to be coming soon. What's going on, Rodney? Appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate you. Chris, enjoy your tour of the stadium, but you never showed the basement. So what Rusty's taught, Rusty, are you just now watching that video? That video was done probably like 4 years ago or so. But if you haven't checked it out, very good video to check out, in which I give you a tour of the stadium, specifically the locker room, the weight room, the eating area, the meeting rooms, and all that stuff for the Carolina Panthers. By far my most popular video, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views on that one. There's also a playlist out there for all my one-on-one interviews. So those are interviews with Thomas Davis, Charles Johnson, Josh Norman. I can't say newer guys right now because we had COVID, so I couldn't do it. But DJ Moore, a bunch of guys out there, pretty good stuff and fun stuff. So consider, again, subscribing. The more people I have that joins us, the more players and coaches that I could have. And I really want to continue to bring you a lot of exclusive one-on-one interviews and ask questions that you all want to hear. So quick plug, a very sincere plug to hit that subscribe button for me. All right. Yeah, I don't do too much on roster analysis. You're right, Locke. So I don't have any predictions. And the reason I don't, man, is that stuff takes, it's a stab. It's a stab. And I just don't have it together to do analysis like that. But once we got that 53 down, I'm your guy. Somebody said the trade could mean Hubbard or Marshall could be gone. Locks, tell me more about that comment right there so I can go into it if you don't mind. Nobody's going to be able to lock in on one person. They have to guard them all. Yeah. T-Roy, the real McCoy. It's great if we have all these guys that right now, I'm going to be honest, like guys can have good camps. And then when the game gets real, when the defenses get real, when it's for big paychecks, you get different results. So I'm excited about everything that a lot of these guys have done during training camp and during the preseason. but you don't know what's going to happen in the regular season. And having a lot of these guys on the team and letting them fight it out, I think is great. You know, hopefully, if it all pans out, then yeah, it would certainly be a good problem to have. T-Roy says they should cut Hubbard. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hubbard was cut. His hands have not been enough for me, and I feel like Foreman and I think Lovett, I forget exactly how to say his name, is I like both of those guys. No locks. I don't do mock rosters either. My son's been bugging me to do stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like enough people do those mock rosters, mock draft, and things like that that have greater resources than me that I just let those guys continue to do it. Somebody else is tired of seeing PJ. He's had his chance. He's had his chance. I feel like he's definitely had his chance, and it's time to give somebody else a chance to show us. As Baker on his opinion in the uniform difference. Ask Baker on his opinion and the uniform difference for what the Cleveland uniforms. Did they get new uniforms? I almost got your question put together there, Taylor, but not completely. So with the kickers, appreciate you joining in, Leonard. So with the kickers for Zane Gonzalez, no, they tried out a couple of guys, but they have not made any decisions yet on those guys. I got a feeling that they're really waiting to see what's going to happen tomorrow with players getting released. And I'm pretty sure as of tomorrow that'd be cleared up as far as what kicker that we're going to go with. What's going on, Anthony Rochelle? Appreciate you joining. Somebody said that the Shenault trade could mean Marshall or Hubbard could be traded or cut. Why would that trade mean that they could be cut? Meaning that the mentality of this staff is, willing to cut people? Just want to make sure, if you know that you let me know so I can try to answer the question as well as I can. Here we go. Scott Jacks. Josh Scobie just got released by Pittsburgh. He is a good kicker. I think he is best out there right now. What do you think? Pull up his stats. Yeah, Josh Scobie, I think, is a pretty good name out there. Let me go ahead and pull him up really quick. Appreciate you, Scott. He's a little bit older guy, 40 years old. So he definitely has some. What about his field goals? Let's see. Josh Scobie, hold on. This guy hadn't played since 2015? I think you just set me up, Scott. Yeah, Josh. Hey, good one, Josh. Good one, Josh. This guy hadn't played in a minute, but it is a good sounding name. Don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me. All right. What's going on with Marshall? So the thing that's going on with Terrace Marshall is that in the NFL, your best ability is availability, and Terrace has not had a lot of availability. We have not seen Terrace much last season. We didn't see him much during training camp and OTAs, and in the preseason, he's had some injuries that has really kept him off the field. And it was a similar comment that coach at one point had said about Shi Smith, saying, "Hey, if this guy can, get healthy, then that would help. That would help them and help me keep them on my team." I'm paraphrasing that, but Terrace Marshall, he's been critical of saying, "Get healthy, stay healthy." And today he said that they feel like they got his issue under control. Otherwise, they like Terrace Marshall. They just got to get him staying healthy. Leonard said the XFL is coming back next year. PJ can go play there again. Hey, I hope the guy does continue to find an opportunity to play. And, sometimes maybe a change of scenery just helps people out, man. So we'll see. All right, Locks, I see your comment here. Don't know exactly what they were meaning. And but Locks does not think Terrace Marshall or Hubbard gets cut. Yeah, I personally feel like Marshall should be safe. There's no guarantees. I feel like he should be safe, though. I feel like Hubbard should not be safe. I feel like Foreman and let me make sure I'm saying this guy's name 100% correctly. I know it's something like Love or Love It. Has been pretty good in my opinion. Yeah, John Lovett. John Lovett to me has been pretty darn respectable. He's a rookie out of Penn State that has been, I think, doing pretty solid for us. Yeah, right, right. What do you guys trying to do to me with that Josh Scobie? Here, John Casey off the couch, Testaverde style. Yeah, and John Casey still lives locally here in Charlotte. I forget what school. I think he's at some private school right now, doing stuff with those guys. But yeah, we have better options than something like that. The only concern is, will the coaching staff utilize all of Shenault's ability in various places on the field to get max production? So again, I'm still getting familiar with Shenault, and they're saying he's like a Curtis Samuel kind of guy, but Curtis was faster. Now, one thing about Curtis and playing various positions was that Curtis had a lot of experience at Ohio, even as a running back. So that he was able to very well, be a physical running back, receiver, slot guy, everything kind of guy for us. I don't know of Shenault's history in having that kind of experience in all those positions in college. But in terms of this coaching staff maximizing his skill set, I have seen and have reported on Ben McAdoo doing a lot of things with this offense during early on down in Spartanburg at training camp and doing creative things, even at the Fan Fest with receivers being in different positions, double reverses, player passes. DJ Moore has been in the backfield. So I would not have any concerns, no concerns whatsoever about Ben McAdoo going to use this guy to his fullest abilities. Let's see. Is PJ that bad? I'd honestly prefer him over Darnold. No, you don't. You don't prefer him over Darnold. I don't even know if I really want to start to compare Darnold and PJ Walker, but no, you don't. You don't want that. Rodney saying Lovett showed lots of promise. Yeah, he did. He did. Know the fans and me to ask those dumb. Oh, if Dallas cuts Will Grier, we could take a look at him again. Yeah, I'm not too much on recycling guys that have not recently had success on our team. Okay, so the first time that we bring Cam Newton back, I'm okay with that a little bit, even though it seemed like, Cam didn't do well once he left. He did okay with New England. So you bring a guy back like Will Greer. Well, what did Will do for Dallas, right? So he hasn't done anything that says, hey, this guy has grown and improved and we should really bring him back. He didn't do anything when he was here. Now, you could say he wasn't given much of an opportunity, but hey, they go hand in hand. So my 2 cents on that. Have not heard that, but appreciate the comment, Leonard, for sure. Rule and Tepper, and even Cam knows it. It's never going to happen until he retires, sign a one-day contract, and call it a career. I like that. gotta share this comment with you. I miss the old days with the wishbone set in the backfield. Imagine Christian McCaffrey and Shenault both lined up, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, Shenault, both lined up in the backfield. Pick your poison. Yeah. I like the way, again, I haven't done my research, but just in the quick stuff that I've looked at and seen before I came on here, why not? Why not have some sets like that? I mean, I don't know what could happen, but I have no fears that Ben, our offense coordinator, would go to leverage everybody's skill set as much as possible. And with Coach Rule, he's not in the final year of his contract. Coach Rule is a rich guy no matter what happens. But he loves football. He doesn't want to just get fired because he got a bunch of money. Coach Rule knows that he needs to win. And I really would like to think that he's getting all these weapons. And he's saying, hey, get everything that you can get, create as much competition as you can, and don't hold back on doing whatever you can to get this team some success. So I feel good about that. I feel really good about that. So, Rodney, I'm just going to quickly touch on your comment about, liking Cam. We'll love to see him. If they get him for cheap, why not? They're not going to get him for cheap. That's why not. And it's not a situation where Cam would just want to come into. Cam has his vlogs on YouTube where he talks about things. And no, he wants to go to a team where he's going to have that chance or to compete or, it's a really good team. And right now, there's too many question marks about the Carolina Panthers for Cam Newton. Yeah, so let me give you this one other comment. And then I'm going to be jumping off of here. 1 second. I got to sneeze. Give me 1 second. Trying to make sure I talk about this correctly. So the offensive coordinator, Ben McAdoo, was the quarterback's coach for the Jaguars in Shenault's rookie year down in Jacksonville. So again, that was someone just made a comment about Andre's comment here. They say him and McAdoo coached him in Jacksonville. So he didn't coach Shenault because he was a wide receiver, but he was on the staff as a quarterback's coach in Jacksonville during Shenault's rookie year. So hopefully that gives you some clarity there. Okay. So that's it, man. That's it for tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. It helps other Carolina Panther fans find out about what I do and discover me, and hopefully they'll like the channel enough to subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 5,000 before week 1 matchup versus Cleveland. I'd appreciate it. And if you've already subscribed, if you've already liked it, make sure you have that bell notification selected and turned on, because just like I'm on live now, 90% of my videos are live so that I can be interactive. The only media that's credentialed that does live YouTube to purposely interact and take your questions that there is, right? So hopefully I can get your support with that. Thank you all so much. Have a good night. We will definitely be talking again tomorrow as the Carolina Panthers, as well as all NFL teams have to make their roster cut down to 53. And then, of course, next is the signing for the practice squad. And then you got transactions that happen that get all kinds of craziness. But I promise to bring it all to you as it unfolds. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good